living legendary by evolving yourself, your community, and your industry. What does that mean? What does it mean to be legendary? Well, let's define it. For me, legendary is a function of creating a legend. What is a legend? A legend is something that gets told over and over again. It gets passed on through time because it was so important. It was so significant. It was so monumental in history. It rippled throughout history. Its existence created ripples, created impact, created significance, created long-lasting results, change, transformation, significance. So that's a legend. So legendary, living legendary by evolving yourself, your community, and your industry, living legendary is being that person who is a legend every day. Now, if you want to live an average, mediocre life, if you want to do just a little bit better than average, if you want to make a couple $1 million and then call it a life, if you want to, not that there's anything wrong with that, if you want to just do well and help your community out and enjoy life, then this probably isn't for you. This conversation probably isn't for you, because a person with that kind of attitude will probably attract something around that or a little bit less than that, right? Because your life's going to give you what you're aiming for or a little bit lower. Shoot for the moon. If you miss, you'll land among the stars, kind of thing. If you're aiming super duper high and you miss, at least you'll be in the region of greatness, right? So if you're not looking to be the best, this conversation is probably not particularly for you, or if it is, it might be a little bit out of integrity for you to listen to it thinking that this is who you are and that this conversation applies to you. But with all that being said, if you are someone who's committed to evolving yourself, your community, and your industry to create a legend, a legacy that carries on long after you are gone, then this will apply to you. Let me share about when I first got the seed planted in me to build a legacy, to be legendary. Because in high school, all I wanted to do was to disappear. All I wanted to do was to play video games, and I still wanted to be the best at video games, be really, really good. Not the best, we won't go that far. I wanted to be really, really good. I had no aspirations to set myself apart from the crowd and stand out. That was the last thing I wanted to do. I hated standing out. I hated people recognizing me, seeing me, because it always felt like if I got seen, then it was usually because I was in trouble. It was usually because I did something wrong, I broke something, or I didn't perform how I was supposed to, and I got in trouble. I got reprimanded, my parents disciplined me, whatever. So I did everything that I possibly could to stay underneath the radar, because if I'm just blending in, nobody's going to notice me. And I talk about my dad a lot. I love my dad, love my mom, both of them amazing. My mom's like an angel, my dad's like the powerhouse of the family. My dad's like 6'2", 6'3", something like that. I'm 5'9". So one of the things that I noticed, a pattern in my life, is that I always felt like my dad was way bigger and stronger and more powerful than me, and I was kind of small and wimpy, shrimpy, and weak. And so through high school, I felt that even more significantly, because I was going through this, puberty and not feeling like I belong and feeling like an outcast and not feeling like I fit in and wishing I was part of the jocks or the athletic crew or crowd and still being a nerd. I got great grades because I didn't want my parents to get mad at me. I got great grades because it was easier to do that, to put up with the junk, to sit there in class and tolerate it, and then work my butt off as quickly as I could, do whatever I could to bust through the homework as quickly as possible. It wasn't about learning. It wasn't about becoming my greatest possible self. It was about just getting by. And I joined football my senior year of high school, and I was a wide receiver. I think I played like 2 or 3 games out of 10 to 12, I don't remember. But I always remember this one game where I got put in. I think we were winning, we were crushing the other team, and I got put in, and there's a long play. I get to run, and I get thrown the football from the quarterback, who's my best friend at the time, and I drop it. And I just like have this memory that was seared in my mind of that, of that experience, kind of like the culmination of all the ways I didn't want to feel throughout high school. That was like one of those events where it's like, well, because you were thinking about it, because this is who you wanted to be, this is what you attracted. You attracted a situation where like your soul deep down inside wants to be great, even though you don't recognize it, you don't acknowledge it, you don't believe it, you don't even see it. And that's why you got put in. But because you have such a strong desire and a strong desire to stay hidden, and aversion to being seen and being significant, being important, you're going to drop this ball. And so I dropped it, and I continued on, and the seed for living a legendary life, for building my legacy, being a legend, the seed was planted when I discovered a network marketing company. I was 21. I was 6 months away from graduating electrical engineering. Again, going through electrical engineering, all I wanted to do was hide and play video games and don't notice me and fit in and leave me alone. Still, although I was going to a lot of raves and partying and stuff, and it felt good to be super self-expressed and really excited about life, high on life while I was at these raves and parties and stuff. It felt really good. And so I think that was partly feeding my soul, but it was doing it in an unhealthy way because it was very rebellious. It was very, I wasn't doing it in the most legal of ways. Let's just say that. And it wasn't healthy because I was tearing up my body. I was destroying my body by what I was putting in it and how I was treating myself doing these events and partying and drinking and stuff. But while that was going on, I joined this network marketing company, and that was 6 months before graduating. Up until then, I was cool with going to school, getting my degree, working a job, because that's what I've been taught, and work until I'm 45, 50 years old, and retiring, and just collecting some money for the rest of my life. So that dream of mediocrity and complacency totally got disrupted, right? Talk about evolution, talk about innovation. When a seed gets planted in my mind, I joined this network marketing company, and it was mainly 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 years olds from, colleges and stuff like that who believed that they would be the next millionaire in the next, 6 to 12 to 18 months. They would be the one. It's like, boom, you have a vision, you want it bad enough, 18 months, 12 months, 6 months, you can be a millionaire. And I got sold that dream. I got the fire, the passion, the vision ignited in me that I can do and have anything to a certain level, right? To a certain degree. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And then I go through a year of network marketing, and I'm like crashing and burning, struggling to pay my bills, don't have enough money for the auto shipment, and not a good leader. Oh my God. If you're going from trying to hide from the world to being a influencer and have people follow you and making sales, oh my gosh, I felt like the biggest fraud ever. I felt like, oh, nobody believes this. This is ridiculous. Like I feel the words coming out of my mouth. I'm sharing the company, sharing the opportunity, and I'm like, they're not gonna buy. This is like my friends from high school and stuff. Like, they do not trust me. Like, yeah, I'm fun and stuff, and like I'm cool to hang out with, but there was not that level of rapport, of leadership, of Chris Burns making good decisions, leading the way for the future as I am now. I'm definitely a transformed human being and doing a lot of things that are definitely changing my my destiny. But at that time, I got this dream planted in me, this seed planted in me, or the fire was reawakened. You know, I've had the seed since before I even entered this human body. My soul's like, here's probably what the experience is going to be like, or exactly what it's going to be like. Who knows how specific our soul is in choosing our destiny? Probably pretty specific. I think just about everything is already kind of predetermined, but, you know, we still have free choice, and our soul's calculated for that. They knew time and space, and, you know, 3D, 4D, 5D, all that good stuff. They were able to see beyond that, see through it, and they chose it. And, you know, free will. So the fire was already in me, the seed was already in me, and this event of joining a network marketing company because my best friend was in it really started cracking me open. Personal development, oh my gosh, I was the most voracious, hungry personal development learner ever, right? I consumed content like it was going out of style, like more than water. I did more personal development than I did, you know, drink water and eat. It was like that important to me, and I wanted to grow as fast as possible. I wanted to win the game. I'm more willing to farm. In video games, there's this term called farming, where you fight really low level, not strong monsters to gain lots of experience, or lots of like low level items to be able to create, or, you know, craft, or use a blacksmith to build, forge, whatever, a higher level weapon or higher level thing, or to go defeat a high level boss. You know, you can get lots of experience at the low level and do it really quick and set it up on automatic, so you just, you know, one swing and the monster's dead, and then you go to the next one, you can do like 1,000 an hour instead of like 10 enemies or 20 enemies that give you, you know, a third of the experience points. Anyways, so it's like farming, right? I was like, dude, I'm farming this personal development. I'm farming this experience into my mind, and I'm going to consume this faster and more voraciously than anyone else, and I'm going to win because of it. So my priority was more personal development and learning, which is kind of like strategizing, thinking. I'm very articulate now. I'm so grateful for all that I did. I'm super articulate, got a great vocabulary. I know a lot. I think very well. But what was listening and what was missing was the action component. I could have stepped up my action. Although I was going out there, I was cold calling, I was, you know, doing all these things. My biggest challenge over the last, you know, 5 years of growing in personal development, starting my own business, starting entrepreneurship, has been the action component, has been the willingness to take action and to keep taking it, to break through those financial barriers and you know, really go all in. Kevin Scott earlier today on an interview was talking about, you know, before he met his girlfriend, he had never really been all in on what he was doing. He had never really been fully 100% committed. And so it was really awesome being able to hear him say that, because I recognize in my life, in a lot of ways, even today, you know, I'm at like 98, 99% committed. I'm still noticing that there's some lacking personal 100% responsibility, and, you know, I'm working on that and breaking through my stuff and getting coaching, and like the ability to leave a legacy, to live a legendary life, to evolve myself, my community, my industry, really takes 100% personal responsibility, because it's with that willingness to kind of do whatever it takes, definitely do whatever it takes, legally, ethically, morally, of course, in integrity. It's the willingness to do whatever it takes that creates those breakthroughs, those evolutionary breakthroughs. So to leave a legacy became my priority, because I started doing all this personal development and hearing these speakers and these legends sharing about what they did, what they learned, what they experienced, how they learned from their mentors. And I heard so much about purpose and your why and the legacy and who you're doing it for and why you're doing it. And over the next 4 or 5 years, I drew out again and 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 again my vision, my why, how I wanted to see my life, how I wanted to live my life. Like, I was relentless in my focus on what future I wanted to create. In fact, at times, the future that I wanted to create was more important to me than the present moment. And it robbed me of a lot of my joy. I didn't care about happiness or fun. It was more about the accomplishment, the achievement, and I sacrificed a lot of family time, and I wouldn't change anything because it makes me who I am today and all the lessons that I learned. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I noticed that I was willing to sacrifice family and friends and just keep working. And I firmly now believe that having that healthy relationship with people who you value, whose values are similar or identical to yours. I mean, all values can't be identical, but similar, very, very close. If you have people in your circles who have values that are very, very close to you, and they're doing things similar to you, they're striving for goals similar to you, then you'll be lifted up, you'll be inspired, you'll be harmonized with those values, with those goals, with that drive. So I'm grateful because I started surrounding myself with people who are just totally 100% purely in alignment with me, so I can become the person that I desire to be. And they have similar goals and they want to drive. And I know two in particular that have been, really side by side or right by my side. One for the last 2 years and another one for the last couple months. Both of them are very special to me. But the willingness to get uncomfortable, to surround yourself with people who make you uncomfortable and challenge your beliefs, and still love you, still appreciate you, is critical to leaving a legacy, to being a legend. Now let's start getting into this concept of evolution. And I've been asking people all day long today, how are you evolving your life, your community, your business, your industry, your corner of the world? Evolution, to me, what that means is the process through which something, being, animal, plant, whatever, something goes through to get to its higher self, its greatest possible self. Now, that greatest possible self is not a static thing. It's always changing. It's always morphing. It's always growing, evolving. It itself, it too, evolves and changes. So my greatest possible self has been evolving for the last 5 years. And specifically, let's talk about my legend, how I'm being legendary. I created a vision for myself, and you must create a vision for yourself that inspires you. And if you want to evolve and truly impact the people around you, the community, the industry, your corner of the world, your life, yourself, in my opinion, you create a vision of a world that wasn't there before, that wasn't accessible to the people who are involved or who will be involved in it. So, for example, for me, I said I want to impact every single person on this planet. I want to reach everyone. Well, who would I have to become to reach everyone? I want to win the game. I want to fight the max level boss, right? To shoot for anything less isn't worth my life. When I played a game, I wanted to beat the game. And so I would farm and grow my character up to beat the maximum level boss. So what is the maximum level in this game called life? In my opinion, it's touching the lives of every single person on the planet to make their life better. That's my maximum level. That's my legend. Literally, whether they know my name or not, whether my technology or my techniques or modalities touch them or not, in truth, just me having this conversation is already impacting every single person on this planet. That's an interesting thought that you don't really think that often, that most people probably don't think. Just by having this conversation, whether it was about me and you, the listener who is listening, and it's just us two talking about our impact that we have on each other, we're changing the world, right? And so that's a belief that instantly taps us into really impacting the world in a big way, because we have the belief that we're already doing it. We have the feeling, the sensation that this conversation is already impacting the entire world. Every single person on this planet is feeling my thought vibration at some level. So I'm changing the world. Every single person on this planet. In fact, every single molecule in this universe I'm touching. Isn't that interesting? That's fascinating. I never even thought about that. Me thinking, it doesn't matter what I think about. It doesn't matter this is a total mind-blowing moment right now. Oh my gosh. It doesn't matter what I think about, what I talk about, if I do or don't do anything. My existence, whether I'm in a coma or conscious and aware, or I guess as soon as my soul leaves, then I don't know what happens after that. Soul leaves this dimension or goes into another body, or who knows what happens, another life, another time, space. I don't know. But me having these thoughts, me existing, impacts the entire universe. So I've been having this focus on, I'm committed to touching every person's life on this planet, specifically with the technology of personal development augmented reality. So creating a Google Glass that overlays, that enhances reality, that gamifies life, that helps us make better choices so that we can be fulfilled and living our greatest possible self every day. Pethia says, yes, you're fire. Thank you very much, Pethia. I'm going to take a sip of water right now. Can't wait for it. Every day is the best day ever, I swear. We are so blessed. So I'm committed to creating technology that touches every single person's life on the planet. Augmented reality, personal development advice that helps them make better choices. I'm committed to winning the game. I'm already winning the game. So thanks. Thanks, life. Thanks for helping me win the game. Thanks for being in a winning existence of life. And no matter what, so here's where ego gets, I say thank you for sharing, ego, and then you can kind of sit down. I'm already winning the game of life, no matter what happens to me. Whether I gain or lose, I'm still winning the game of life. I'm still, my mindset is I am on autopilot to win the game of life. My thermostat is set to win the game of life just because that's what I choose. I am winning and continue to win forever. So that's a little neat kind of perspective shift and change. And by the way, you want to know how Chris Burns became who he is? It's by freaking choosing to change his beliefs one belief at a time, one day at a time, one moment, one day, 1 year at a time, and ultimately one life at a time, which is, I chose this life to change and become and evolve who I am, and it's a brilliant thing. So my technology will touch every person's life on the planet. And I said, that's a worthy goal. That's something that's going to get me fired up. So because I set my vision so big of touching, or perfectly sized, I set my vision at that scale, that scope, of touching every person's life, of my technology coming in contact, everyone wanting to use the device to have a better life, make better choices, love their life more, be more connected with their purpose. My vision is legendary. That's a freaking legend. When I die, if and when I die, we'll see what happens. My plan is to live forever. We'll see how that all unfolds. If I were to die and my technology had gone around the world and everybody has it, that's a vision that's worth living for. Now, my whole phase of life at this point is getting into alignment with that technology, with that possibility, with that reality, with the people, the situations, the circumstances that make that happen. And so I've been estimating about 15 years from now is when the technology will be available. We will have developed the programming, the artificial intelligence will be capable enough, the device will be capable enough, all that good stuff to start, at least launch. You know, it might take another 15, 20, 30, 40 years until it's all around the world touching everyone's lives. I don't know, though. Things seem to be spreading faster and faster, so we'll see. But that's the legend that I want to live. And it's a big one. Or the perfect size, whatever we want to call it. And it's going to impact my life. It's going to have me evolve. I certainly must evolve to make that a reality. Right? To have a product that reaches every single person's life, which I don't think has happened yet, ever. You know, you could say the Wright brothers invented flying. Still, you know, not everyone has flown in a plane. You could say that spears, technically, like a spear, like a throwing spear, has touched every person's life on the planet in some way. You know, my generations past from me, obviously, but cave people somewhere, or, you know, Africans, that kind of thing, the more older, outdated civilizations, not just Africa, wherever they're happening, could be, you know, Mongolia or wherever, who are using spears. That technology has probably reached around the world. It took a long time, but the speed of innovation, the speed of things going around the world is going faster and faster. Soon, phones will be one of those technologies. Soon, maybe it might take another 20, 30, 40 years for phones to do that, for everyone to have interacted with the phone, or everyone to have a phone. Computers is another thing, although I think those are probably coming closer and closer to coming together and merging. And I want my technology to go around the world and reach everyone and impact everyone. And it won't take, you know, spears might have taken hundreds of thousands or millions of years before, you know, they were developed, and then probably hundreds of thousands, be more accurate, hundreds of thousands of years to create the first spear, whoever and wherever that happened, to the time that, you know, every human being had interacted with a spear. It's interesting thought. So live legendary by evolving yourself, your community, and your industry. I'm evolving myself to become the person who achieves that. Now, let's say you don't have such a big vision. Totally cool. But you do have a vision. You have a vision to impact 100,000, 10,000, million, whatever the number is, tens of millions of people. You have a vision to earn billions of dollars. You have a vision to find the man or woman of your dreams. And to become that person who attracts that man or woman, you have to evolve yourself. I would say you don't have to have a bigger scope than just your family to live legendary. You could create an entire industry. Your family could be your community, with an industry contained within your family. You could live quote-unquote legendary, although I don't think that's the definition. And I did, in fact, I will restate that at the beginning, this conversation was about, you know, if you're just trying to make a couple $1 million, live a mediocre life, kind of fit in, that sort of thing, then it might probably not be a fit for you. And if you listen to it and say, this is for me, it might be out of integrity. So going back to the original scope of who I am and what I'm all about and what I'm committed to attracting is evolving yourself, your community, and your industry. Your community. How am I evolving my community? Well, one, I'm doing these 12-hour freaking marathons, and I'm showing people that they can do something different, and that all it takes is a vision, all it takes is audacity to try, to give it a shot, and the willingness to put yourself through the paces. And I'm changing the industry because I decided to go custom graphics. I decided to, have 9 speakers back to back or whatever, 12 hours straight. I'm evolving the industry. People are seeing what I'm doing, and they're taking notice. Now, we've had this marathon a year and 3 months. I can only imagine where the show is going to be and how it's going to evolve in the next year, and then the next 3 years, and the next 5 years. One other big project that we're working on is a big event we got coming up in probably a year, maybe between a year and 2 years. And it's going to evolve our industry, our community, and be legendary as freaking heck. It's going to be like between 1,500 and 3,500 people. We're still working out the numbers, crunching the logistics, all that kind of good stuff. Bethia says it's perfect. Love it. So the vision is perfect. I think that's what it was for. So that vision must be developed to create your legendary life, a vision of what's possible, the vision of what you're committed to transforming. If you are a men's coach and you are building a community of people who focus on, I know, let's use some case studies, some people who I believe are legendary by evolving themselves, their community, and their industry. Nicholas Bailey and Amanda Bailey are two amazing human beings. Shout out to you two if you're listening. They're evolving themselves because they created their company called $1 Billion Body. So the whole premise is to develop, design, maintain, create a $1 billion body. So of course they have to constantly be evolving themselves, whether their body is worth $1 billion now, or they are maintaining that, or they are creating that and moving towards it. $1 billion body really stands for something. That's evolving the industry, and they're teaching men health, wealth, and relationships. So health, staying healthy; wealth, how to build a successful business; and then the relationships, how to have that significant other that matters to you. They're definitely evolving the community because they're setting the higher standard of what we are worth and what it means to be a man, right? What it means to be a man. All the men who are in the community are inspired to be a part of it, feel like they're part of a brotherhood. They're evolving the community because they're pushing the limits and really raising the bar on what it's like to have a VIP experience. Now, they've had this company, I think, for 2 or 3 years, maybe less. I think two or around 2.5, 3, something like that. And by the way, $1 Billion Body Live is this June. So if you want to go, I think the ticket sales might have closed, but just let me know. Can help you get a ticket. And by the way, if you're listening to this, it's probably May, June, July. So it was probably a great event. Ask me about it. The industry, how they're evolving the industry, is because they're setting the bar high. They're setting the $1 billion mark, right? The $1 billion mark for health, for wealth, and for relationships. What's a $1 billion relationship? I don't even know. But $1 billion body brings to mind that someone's bringing in $1 billion, earning $1 billion. That's who they aspire to be. That's the level that we're playing at, which is an extremely epic positioning in the marketplace. Just saying, anyone who has $1 billion anything is positioned very effectively for possibility for a legendary life. So the industry, they're evolving it because people don't want to be just millionaires anymore. People want to be billionaires. So this group, Nicholas Bailey's, I think he's like, 24, 25, something like that. And he's declaring, I'm committed to the billionaire status, the billionaire club. So he's evolving the industry by setting the bar higher, by saying anyone else who resonates with the billion message, the billion number, with that level and scale of capacity and influence in life, you're definitely going to want to be a part of this community. Eventually, I'm sure there's going to be $1 trillion not billion-dollar body, but trillion-dollar trifecta, trillion-dollar whatever, like in 20 years when trillionaires are popping out left and right, then that might be the standard. We'll see if we get to trillion being the dollar standard. That's what people are striving for. We'll see. So that's one example. Nicholas and Amanda Barely are definitely living legendary. They're evolving themselves. They're evolving their community. They're evolving their industry. And Amanda. I'm just taking notes right now. Put this in the show notes. Who else? Who else is evolving themselves, the community, and the industry? It's a good question. It's interesting how I just jumped to Nicholas and Amanda. I'm like, boom, of course, them. I know I'm evolving my industry. Who else? Let's see. Past guests on the show. Well, let's go with other famous people. In my opinion, I was going to say Lewis Howes, just to share where my mind's going, because he's like an inspiration, an idol to me. These are all people who I appreciate and like and have an affinity for. So I'm curious if there's anyone who is, not really objectively, or who is more objectively legendary that I can think of. I'm going to be thinking about that. I was going to say Lewis Howes, just because he has School of Greatness. He's, reaching millions of downloads a month from his podcast and impacting people around the world, which is pretty freaking legendary. And I'd say he is evolving himself 100%. He is evolving the community, breaking people into, being their greatest possible self, being great. And then the industry is podcasting. He's totally setting the pace for podcasting. I know I've looked at what he does a lot, studied it, been interested, and I'm sure many other people have studied him and noticed what he's doing so that they can see what's the industry doing. And he's evolving the industry in that way. So anyone who is out to impact, I'd say, millions of people is different than earning millions of dollars. You can earn millions of dollars by impacting thousands of people, even tens of thousands. But, hopefully you are earning more as that goes up. I would say it's about the quality, not the quantity. Because I know there's Instagram models and people who have millions of followers, but may not be making that difference, that impact, that legacy, legendary. Although if they have millions of followers, they're probably evolving themselves, their community, and their industry. So how can you become more legendary? How can you evolve yourself, and your community, and your industry? Well, I believe if it hasn't been clarified by now, if it's not clear by now, if you haven't picked out the gem, so to speak, by now, it's to have a vision. To have a vision of doing something great, of doing something different. Maybe it's not impacting a certain amount of people's lives or earning a certain amount of money. But I don't know. If it's not big, if it's not a big amount of people or a big amount of money, what else? What else is a big impact? Because if you develop a new technology, invent something, you patent a process for, 3D printing, if it's legendary, it's going to impact lots of people's lives. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people's lives, at least. So I think it has to be, in my opinion, the legend has to be somewhat numerical based. It has to be quantity at some level. Like a legendary life has to be quantity at some level, because if an idea is profound, if something is profound and meaningful, and that is legendary, then it will, by its nature, impact lots of people, or impact something very, very deeply. Living legendary means creating profound and lasting change. So invent something. Say, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to change that musicians struggle to find gigs. Musicians struggle to make it. I'm going to transform the starving artist. Kevin Stimson and Devonna Stimson, they're definitely living legendary. Although I think I still need to see more from them and see more evolve from them and more of what they're creating. But I know Devonna is committed to eradicating or eliminating the starving artist stereotype, to reversing that, to creating a new stereotype, to eliminate that, so no artist ever feels like, because I'm an artist, I don't deserve to earn money, or it's going to be a really, really, really hard journey, or I have to get multiple other jobs because my passion, my love just won't pay. So she's out to eliminate that. So she had this vision. She saw a problem and she said, I will not stand for this. I believe if, depending on the level and the severity of the problem, you could solve the problem of, people miss the trash can when throwing their Q-tips away, so you create like a backstop and 100 people, you sell it to 100 people in your neighborhood, and that's it. Is that legendary? Not really. If 1 million people buy it, is that legendary? I would still say not really. Just because, the squatty potty, have you guys heard of that? Is that legendary? What defines legendary? I defined it earlier. I don't remember what I said. So the squatty potty revolutionized people's flow of poop out of their body. I know we're getting PG here, people. PG-13? No, PG. We're still in the realm of PG. And probably, I want to say, hundreds of thousands of people have purchased it, if not more, maybe millions. Is that legendary? Well, if it helps people, this is such a great question. Contemplation, man, I love it. I love thinking. Is it legendary? At what point does something go from obscurity to legendary? At what volume does it transform from just an event that happened, something that existed, to being legendary? How many people's lives have to be impacted? In what quality and caliber do their lives have to be impacted to be considered legendary? It's fascinating. I love this stuff. I was thinking maybe not huge numbers, but deeply impacting, Petya said. Yeah, I think it's fascinating. Deeply impacting. Then we have to define deeply impacting. How deep is deep? If you save, on the other side of the spectrum, if you save someone's life, if you save one person's life, you're a suicide hotline operator. You save someone's life, And they say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You saved my life. Thank you. And they write you letters, and they come visit you and say thank you. And, they go on to live a happy, prosperous life. Is that legendary? Dang. I think if we say no, then it's ego. And then this whole conversation has been about ego. People like small niche specific problem you found the solution to. Yeah, Petty, I agree with that too. If you make a deep impact on 100 people's lives who, when you find the unique solution. Yeah, no, but like I was saying, I think if you save one person's life, one person was about to commit suicide and then they don't, that is legendary in its own right. That is legendary for the person whose life was saved. Like, that person wouldn't be alive. Like, in that person's mind, instantly you became legendary. So legendary sounds like is a perspective, is a state of mind. It's not about the achievement. It's about how you view things. It's about, are you making the biggest difference that you can? Did you impact someone's life today? But even if it's like opening the door for someone, is that legendary? I think it's a state of mind. I think it's a choice to say, I am legendary and I do awesome things. I do amazing things. And there's no judgment or standard about what is or isn't awesome. I could be shining my shoes or shine shoes all day and be so proud, so fulfilled that I did a good job on shining people's shoes. And I could consider myself a legend in the eyes of the people whose shoes I shined. If I did my best, if they acknowledge me, if they say, I'm going to tell my wife about this, I'm going to tell my boss, my whatever, friends, relatives, everyone I know, everyone in the city I know. Then they don't tell anyone. Are you still a legend? I believe it's a frame of mind. At this point, I've changed my position. I love this. Yes, and for their loved ones, it's definitely perspective. So interesting, because I got into this conversation saying, hey, if you don't want to change millions of people's lives or hundreds of thousands and millions of people's lives, this conversation isn't for you. It wouldn't be an integrity for you to be here. That's ego. I'm totally going to call one on myself and declare that that was ego speaking at the very beginning of this. So there you have it, people. I'm going to retitle this, How to Know If Your Ego is Operating or If Pure Love is Operating. Pure ego or wisdom? No, probably not. I'm going to leave it. But it's a great title to get into this discussion and for people to really think about what they're doing. What they're thinking about. How painful was the problem and you solved it to be you become legend for that people who lost their hope. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I think, but I mean, there's so many different qualities and calibers of pain. Is there a certain threshold where it becomes real? You know, for everyone who's going through the pain or the problem, it's real for them. It's the most painful thing for them. So, this is the conclusion. If you want to dive even more into these types of conversations, you want to break through your BS, you want to live legendary by evolving yourself, your community, your industry, I am here for you. You can absolutely schedule a coaching session with me, a one-on-one strategy session to find out what you're up to, what your blocks are, why you're not achieving the goals that you desire. And you can do that at beyourgps.com/strategy session. Again, that's beyourgps.com/strategy session. And we'll have a lot of fun, definitely. Looking forward to talking to you. Have the best day ever. I love you. be your greatest possible self.